economic slowdown accelerates. But there's still a lot of people out there, especially people watching the mainstream media, and a lot of people drinking that Trump Kool-Aid. Trump knows the economy's going down. Before he was elected, he talked about everything being in a bubble, the housing market, the stock market.
And believe me, we're in a bubble right now. And the only thing that looks good is the stock market. But if you raise interest rates even a little bit, that's going to come crashing down.
He knows the entire economy is going to come down, but he's not going to tell you that, because that would be basically like shooting himself in the foot, right? So part of making the economy look good and seem good to the average person is keeping the illusion alive. Okay, but it only takes a bit of digging and critical thinking to put the pieces together, and that's what we do here on this channel. So let's get into it today. Hey everybody, my name is Jason, and this is Bull Boom Bear Bust. Got some updates today on some layoffs, some store closures, and also some bankruptcy updates here in many different sectors, including retail, financial, including insurance, and even some food and beverage here. A part of the illusion that's being presented is pointing to the fact that everybody's shopping online, and therefore a lot of retailers and brick and mortar businesses are suffering because of that. While it's true that online retail is taking up a bigger and bigger portion of retail overall, it's also true that e-commerce and online sales only make up about 10% of overall retail sales. So let's take a look at our first chart here. This is Statistica.com. And while retail online is growing, it's still only 10% overall, so still 1/10. Okay, but yet we're seeing record numbers of store closures in a time where they're pointing to the economy being the best it's been in many decades, right? Okay, below 4% unemployment, wages increasing ever so slightly. And come on, let's be honest, we know the CEOs are keeping most of these tax cuts for themselves and buying back stock for the company for them to go ahead and cash out in the stocks. And we've talked about on this channel insider selling now at the highest level since prior to the financial crisis about 10 years ago. So the writing's on the wall, and it's not small writing, it's very big graffiti art writing on the wall. Okay, so let's start with this. So let's get an update here on the General Motors buyouts, which are likely to fall short. And we talked about this in a previous video, but here's an update just out on November 19th. And this is out of the USA Today. General Motors hoped at least 7,000 white-collar workers would sign up by noon Monday for a buyout offer, but managers told employees last week that it was likely going to fall short, and that raised the prospect of layoffs. So this update says the number of people volunteering for a buyout was about 4,000. That means that 3,000 more salaried workers in North America are going to be terminated starting in January. Okay, now we talked about the significant automobile sales slowdown in a previous video, and we know that based on the sales decline that these layoffs in the automotive industry are likely going to increase. If you're interested in that video, it's put out a couple weeks ago. Just go to our main page there and you can see that. Okay, of course, another common subject on this channel is the levels of debt that people are in, now much higher than, again, about 10 years ago, the financial crisis. So many things and so many people are worse off now than they were then. Okay, the next update is about layoffs in the financial sector, where we have Wells Fargo looking to cut about 1,000 positions nationwide. Now this is in addition to the mortgage layoffs that we reported on a few weeks ago. Wells Fargo said in mid-November that it notified about 1,000 employees in its consumer lending and payments and virtual solutions and innovations groups of plans to eliminate their positions. And this goes along with the previous indication by Wells Fargo that it planned to reduce its overall headcount by about 10% by 2020. So 10% of its entire workforce by 2020. So about one more year away. So what's going on, Wells Fargo? They told me on mainstream media that the economy was the best it's ever been. Why would you be looking to cut 10% of your entire workforce by 2020? Okay, remember last summer Wells Fargo had over 600 employees laid off in its mortgage division. So the pace looks to be accelerating with this 1,000 current layoff plans that are put out here. Okay, the next significant layoff news is going to be out of Starbucks, where they're laying off about 350 employees. Now this round of layoffs happened to be at the Seattle headquarters, and this report's out of mynorthwest.com from November 13th. And they're quoting a Seattle Times report that the major coffee company is laying off 350 of its corporate employees. The bulk of these layoffs will be at the headquarters in Seattle, but the corporate employees are not the only employees that Starbucks has let go in recent weeks. The company also let go of several executives with titles ranging from senior vice president to president. And while you think that these corporate layoffs or office personnel layoffs may not be that big of a deal, but remember, this comes on the tails of Starbucks closing several underperforming stores earlier in the year 2018. Now, Starbucks usually closes an average of 50 stores annually, but this year is expected to be closer to about 150 before the year is over. Okay, just give a look down in the video description if you want to read more about that and all these other reports that we're reading here. Okay, next out of the Des Moines Register, we've got Nationwide Insurance laying off as many as 1,100 jobs across the United States. So it's looking like Nationwide doesn't have enough customers on their side, right? So we've got Nationwide Insurance laying off about 80 workers at its downtown Des Moines location as it reduces its national workforce by 1,100 positions. Okay, Nationwide spokesman Joe Case said workers were told Tuesday that they would receive an official 60-day notice in January, effectively giving them about 4 months' notice before their final day of work in March 2019. Okay, next update here, we've got David's Bridal. They filed for bankruptcy, and this is out of a November 19th report out of Business Insider. So they're keeping their doors open because they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Okay, they're saying they're going to continue to operate as usual. So, maybe everybody's buying their wedding dresses at Amazon. Or maybe less people are getting married. And my 2 cents on this, if you're going to get married, go to Vegas. Don't spend $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000. Just go to Vegas, get it done for a few bucks. Trust me, your relatives will thank you. They're going to want to gamble and eat buffets instead of going to your wedding reception. Okay, you can't tell I'm a cheapskate, can you? Okay, an update on Sears. Sears is hanging on by a thread. They've got a little more time to stay in business. And this comes out of CNN Business. Now, I think most of the fake news out of CNN happens to be on the political side. So, from what I've seen, they're still pretty trustworthy on the economy and business news. Okay, and this is a November 15th news update. At a bankruptcy hearing in mid-November, Judge Robert Drain approved Sears' plan to auction off about 500 stores. The auction is central to the company's mission to remain in business. It also says here in the report that Sears intends to use funds from the sale for its operations, and it will pay rent to the stores' buyers so they can stay open. So what it looks to me like they're trying to do here, they're trying to stay open for the holidays because they know that's the busiest time of year. And then some people may say, well, people are buying online, even at Sears.com, and that's why the brick and mortar stores are closing, which is a valid theory, but what about Starbucks, right? So are people buying their coffee online? Venti Latte, FedEx delivery there in your driveway? Okay, now also something that ties in with the real estate slowdown is home improvement super warehouse Lowe's. They are closing over 50 stores in the U.S. and Canada. Okay, now Lowe's CEO and President Marvin Ellison said the following quote, "While decisions that impact our associates are never easy, the store closures are a necessary step in our strategic reassessment as we focus on building a stronger business," unquote. Okay, now this report also goes on to say that Lowe's expects to close the impacted stores by February 1st, 2019. Okay, also some other updates out of Clark.com here. We've got Victoria's Secret closing about 20 stores. So less wedding dresses with David's Bridal and now less lingerie. Oh man, where's the romance going here? Orchard Supply Hardware closing nearly 100 stores. And this next one, if this is not the sign of impending doom and apocalypse and economic Armageddon, the Dollar Tree is closing stores. That's right, the Dollar Tree. And this is reported out of Yahoo Finance. Saddled with scores of underperforming Family Dollar stores, so Family Dollar is under the parent company Dollar Tree, they continue to trim the brand's footprint. Through the second quarter of this year, 2018, Dollar Tree has closed 26 Family Dollar stores, as well as many Dollar Tree locations. All right, so that's it for this update. And it looks like the deterioration of the economy is basically accelerating. We're seeing a lot more store closures as time progresses, and with so many of these layoffs scheduled for the next few months, I think we're going to be in for a very rough 2019. And back to what we said earlier, when people are maxed out on debt, such as so many people are, combined with these layoffs, and especially with the slowing housing market, that's going to further bleed over into many different sectors. And like we mentioned, we're seeing this with Lowe's now. But this is what you get out of a debt-based economy, right? You get boom and bust cycles where they pump it up with debt and easy money, right? Loose lending. That then gives a false sense of economic prosperity. And they'll say, look at all the demand for housing and cars. You know, the economy must be great. And one of the more interesting aspects of all this is going to be the battle for the narrative, right? So you're going to have Trump saying that it's the Fed's fault because they raised interest rates. And there's many people out there that are now agreeing with him. Even Jim Cramer, other economists like Peter Schiff have constantly pointed to the Fed's interest rate policies causing these cycles, right? These boom and bust cycles. Okay, then you're going to have the other side, of course, the Fed. They're going to say that it's because of the tariffs, and they're going to say it's Trump's policies that brought this whole economy down. Well, remember about 10 years ago, we had the financial crisis where the whole system nearly collapsed and it had to be bailed out. Trump wasn't in office at that time doing tariffs. So not much has gotten better since 2008, folks. We've even lost more manufacturing jobs versus what we had 10 years ago. And if you think that one man can come back and fix this broken system in just 2 years of his presidency, well, you're going to be in for a surprise. So I recommend everybody be prepared. We're going to do some more videos on preparing and prepping type of things. And I know I've been talking about that for a while, but other news has kind of kept me away from that one. We're also going to talk about what I'm investing in. And I'm going to show you some charts from my investments and show you that I've been pretty good in some things, not so good in other things. We're going to talk about precious metals and even some mining stocks. Cryptos are in a very bad bear market right now, so I'm staying away from cryptos. So hope to see you here next time. Now, if you want to ask me a question, or if you've asked me a question, I apologize if I didn't see it down in comments. I don't get a chance to read every comment. So the best way to ask me a question and have me definitely see it is go on over to Twitter. Right, there's going to be a link at the homepage, which you'll see a link to down in the description of this video. And at the top of Twitter, there's a message link, and you can ask me a question there, and I'm definitely going to see it because it's not going to be mixed in with the hundreds and hundreds of comments. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. Hope to see you here next time. Bye now.